Hey everybody, this is Jim Carter. I am back again, and today we are reviewing Adobe Firefly that has just been released in beta. I plan on recording an initial video about this today, but my goal is to actually go through each of these individual generative AI options for us as they continue to release it. It gets more stable and it gets more used. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I'm going to move my face out of the way so we can check this out. It seems as though anybody with an Adobe account can request access to this, and they are rolling out previews to everybody right now. So if you haven't yet, I highly suggest go to firefly.adobe.com, join the waitlist, log in with your Adobe account. Be sure you use the same email address in the waitlist request as you do with your Adobe account. And the next time you go to firefly.adobe.com, it just fires right up. So these are all of the options that we currently have. They've got a text to image. So if anybody has used Dolly, or if you use Midjourney, or one of these generative image-based AI services, you're going to see there's a lot of similarities there. We've also got generative fill. So in this case, you can highlight an area and you can say, I want to replace this, or I want to amend an image with this individual different type of text-based fill-in, and it's going to actually fill that in. Use a brush to remove the objects and you paint new ones in. It's going to be wild. Text effects is different. I haven't seen this done really well yet, so this is going to be a fun one. We can pick a font and then we can say, I want the text to actually turn into some kind of imagery. I can see this being used for a lot of different applications. Generative recolor. This looks fantastic because there's so many times you're working with some kind of a digital piece of artwork and you just really need a different vibe, you need a different look. This is going to get really interesting really quick for digital artists. They've also got 3D to image, which is going to be fantastic for all the 3D imagery. You can now turn that into storyboards. Look at this. You can take this castle, simple little 3D model, and you can turn it into a gingerbread house. You can turn it into this castle. It's going to be great. And extend image. This is something that OpenAI's Dolly has been doing really well, which is you can take a standard image right up front and you can continue to expand it out. So they've got a little bit of inspiration down here where you can explore it. They've got the video overview, and they've got all of these other ones that they're working on as well. Personalizing results, text to vector, text to pattern. There's all kinds of great stuff in here. So we're just going to dive in. We are going to start right here with text to image. So I'm going to walk you through the entire process. This is the first time that I've been through it as well, so you know everything and what to expect. So we move through. They're obviously saying everything about here is about this is their data. Notice that they're addressing the bias that may come in here and that they're asking for your grace as you use it, which is totally fair. In this case, highly recommend if you are concerned with their privacy, read the guidelines, read everything about this so that way you know exactly what goes into it. Clicking done, we move in here and we start to see exactly what we have. So let's just look at a few of these. Sleeping bear in nighttime gown and nightcap. We've also got Midtown Manhattan with cherry blossoms on a rainy day, right? There's all kinds of different options here. So it's fun. This is just an infinite panel of all kinds of different things to get you really excited. So we're going to give this a shot. We're going to say sunny Los Angeles day at the beach with people enjoying the water, and hit generate. And let's see what we get. So it immediately pops into a 4x grid, which is pretty standard. Let's also move over here and see what we get here. In this case, this is actually interesting because now it's starting by giving us a different type of content. It's giving us an aspect ratio out of the box, and it's telling us what are some popular different ways of working with this. First of all, if we're just looking for a quick, simple graphic, this is great. I live in Los Angeles, and this is the vibe of Southern California when you go to the beach. But why don't we actually just start exploring a little bit? Let's switch it from portrait to actually go landscape. And it looks like it's going to rebuild those, not just refresh them, but actually rebuild them. And we'll see what we come back with. So that's great. Those are fundamentally different photos, and each of them have just been extended. If we click on one, it looks like we get that entire result. We can rate it, we can report it, we can actually toggle through the different ones. Now in this case, our options are we can show similar, we can do a generative fill directly on this, so that's interesting. We can work with that. In this case, our options are we can submit to a gallery, It looks like we can download it right away. We can also favorite it. So those are great options. So let's keep exploring. Now, if we just switch it to none on the content type, let's see what we get as well. Now, this is great. This is more photorealism, right? Obviously, this is all AI generated, so you can tell that there's something a little bit off about these, but they're really close. This is actually fantastic as this is showing what it looks like in more of a Southern California beach, looking into more of that Santa Monica area. This is a fascinating perspective as well. This is like you're actually on a pier looking in. You see the palm trees. This is a much more close-up one. Now, continuing along, let's go ahead and look at some of these different styles. So if we explicitly go and we say, I want to see photo-based styles of this individual prompt, let's see what it comes back with. These are much more photorealistic. These have some depth. These have a lot more lighting variations built into them. We actually can start to see a lot more in the reflections. These reflections are looking really good, especially for being over the waves. But as I'm sure you can tell here, I'm going to zoom in. These are not actually bodies. This is a mess. So if you get in there, you can see that this still has a long way to go in terms of this image being generated. That is not something that we would want to use in production, but I still love where this is going. And then finally, let's go. Let's see. So that was art. Let's actually go and let's see that last one, which was graphic as well. Okay. So graphic is going to be much similar to the one that we saw before where it was more digital art. So let's go ahead and just stick with this for a hot minute. And if we go through, we can just try changing some of these different color patterns out. It looks like you stack as many as you want. You hit generate again, and then it'll come through and it'll respond to these. It did exactly what we said. We wanted to give it a couple different type of popular styles, and it combined those and put those together. So I like where this is going. Let's go ahead and let's back out here and clear styles. Let's go ahead and do something completely different. For a different prompt, let's say Winter Wonderland, and keep it really simple. All right, so in this case, prompt is too short, so this is nice. It's actually coaching us. So Winter Wonderland with a cold, dreary feeling and trees. We'll just continue to explore and we'll continue to try things. That's actually great because we saw just a snow-covered mountain, but now we're actually starting to evoke emotion and want to see what it comes back with. So this is good because we can see how it's starting to really pull that element out. This is also incredibly fast, something that I just noticed here. Much faster than OpenAI DALL-E and a lot faster than Midjourney in this exact case. And from here, if we come in and we say, let's actually start exploring with these, in this case, we're definitely going to want a cool tone to what we're doing. Lighting, let's go ahead and just say that this is dramatic lighting. And composition, we will say that this is wide angle. So we're prompt engineering with their drop downs, which is a new way of working with it. So these are much different feeling photos. And I gotta say, that is great. It's not what I had in my head when I initially started typing it, but I realize this is actually prompting me to get better and better with it so I can find the one that I like. So I would say out of all of them, this is probably the one that I had in my head that I started with. And in this case, show similar. It looks like that's more or less making variations of this individual photo. And now let's actually just try that generative fill feature. Okay, so this is one that we've been waiting for and we've been looking for. So in this case, I can add, I can subtract. I've got some settings. So I can say these are my different brush sizes and hardness. In this case, background, it looks like we can work with this to actually, immediately remove the background. That's a great feature. Or we can work with a completely different background along the way. So let's go ahead and add. Why don't we just say right here in the foreground, we will add a moose and see what we get. Not bad. We can toggle through a couple different options here. Now, this is a very rudimentary moose. This is not necessarily very photorealistic, but if we were to replay this and do it again, so let's see, I don't see an undo. It looks like we just need to retry it. Why don't we actually just make it a much bigger canvas area? Let me try it again. Okay, still a little rough. Not the photorealism I was looking for, but not bad for being an initial quick scene, especially if we're just trying to get a point across, trying to evoke a feeling. So I like where this is going. We're going to go ahead and keep this for right now. And download looks like you can immediately continue with this. And as long as you have the content credentials, you can download it. And we've got our file right here. So if I open that file in a new tab, they are absolutely branding it that it is not for commercial use on everything that you download, but not a bad start for working with Firefly.